Yeah, one few times. I seriously doubt it's gonna show. You go in your room, yeah. You go in your room.
I know it's showing up with on the printer when I fill it out.
Yeah. It's not showing. It's like fine. Hi. How are you? Hi. That's it. You know, will Perry's be working this stuff? It is big, so it should be. The proposal is one. I know.
Okay, yeah.
I allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, good evening, everybody. Please call the roll.
Mayor Delaquila.
Here.
Director Blah Pignatello.
Here.
Director of Finance Herwick.
Here.
Councilman at Large Bicker.
Here.
Councilman at Large Kranek.
Here.
Councilman at Large Traffus.
Here.
Ward 1 Councilman Biassiata.
Here.
Ward 2 Councilman Frondor.
Here.
Ward 3 Councilman Kukrow.
Here.
Ward 4 Councilman Petro.
Here.
Director of Public Services and Properties Levis.
Here.
Building Commissioner Vitardi.
Mr. Vitardi asked for an excuse absence, so I'm going to make a motion to excuse Mr. Vitardi from this meeting. Please call the roll.
Biassiata.
Yes.
Frondor.
Yes.
Kranek.
Yes.
Kukrow.
Yes.
Petro.
Yes.
Traffus.
Yes.
Bicker.
Yes.
Mr. Vitardi has been excused. We'll begin with the reading and disposal of the journal of the meeting minutes for the regular council meeting held May 8th, 2017.
Yes, Mr. President.
Councilman Frondorf.
Having read the council minutes of the regular council meeting held May 8th, 2017, I find no errors or omissions. Therefore, I move that they be approved as printed.
I'll second that. Is there any discussion? Please call the roll.
Biassiata.
Yes.
Frondor.
Yes.
Kranek.
Yes.
Kukrow.
Yes.
Petro.
Yes.
Traffus.
Yes.
Bicker.
Yes.
Meeting minutes for the regular council meeting held May 8, 2017 have been accepted. Moving on to the minutes for the regular council meeting held May 22nd, 2017.
Yes, Mr. President.
Councilman Frondorf.
Once again, having read the council minutes of the council meeting, regular council meeting held May 22nd, 2017, I find no errors or omissions, and therefore I move that they be approved as printed.
I'll second the motion, Mr. Chairman.
Is there any discussion? Please call the roll.
Biassiata.
Yes.
Frondor.
Yes.
Kranek.
Yes.
Kukrow.
Yes.
Petro.
Yes.
Traffus.
Yes.
Bicker.
Yes.
Minutes of the regular council meeting held May 22nd, 2017 have been accepted. Moving on to the minutes of the special council meeting held June 5th, 2017.
Yes, Mr. President.
Councilman Frondorf.
Once again, having read the council minutes of the special council meeting held June 5th, 2017, I find no errors or omissions, and I move that they be approved as printed.
I second the motion.
Is there any discussion? Please call the roll.
Biassiata.
Yes.
Frondor.
Yes.
Kranek.
Yes.
Kukrow.
Yes.
Petro.
Yes.
Traffus.
Yes.
Bicker.
Yes.
Minutes of the special council meeting held June 5th, 2017 have been accepted. Moving on to the consent agenda dated June 26th, 2017.
Yes, Mr. President.
Councilman Frondor.
If there's no division of the question, I move that we accept the consent agenda dated June 26, 2017.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Please call the roll.
Biassiata.
Yes.
Frondor.
Yes.
Kranek.
Yes.
Kukrow.
Yes.
Petro.
Yes.
Traffus.
Yes.
Bicker.
Yes.
Consent agenda for June 26, 2017 has passed. Are there any resolutions of commendation?
We have none.
Reports of committees. Planning, Zoning, and Economic Development Committee last met on June 19th. Those meeting minutes are filed with the clerk, and our next meeting will be held on July 17th. Public Works Committee, Councilman Petro.
Mr. Chairman, our meeting is going to be held on the 3rd.
Thank
July.
you. Thank you. Community Services Committee, Councilman Bicker.
Mr. President, we met on June 5th. Minutes are on file with the clerk, and our next meeting is July 3rd.
Thank you. Police and Safety Committee, Councilman Kranek.
Yes, Mr. President, the last meeting was June 19th. The minutes are in the process, and the next meeting will be July 17th.
Thank you. Parks and Recreation, Councilman Kukrow.
Thank you, Mr. President. Our last meeting was on June 5th, and our next meeting is on July 17th.
Rules, Ordinances, and Ethics, Councilman Biassiata.
Thank you, Mr. President. Our last meeting was June 19th. The meeting minutes are still pending. Our next meeting will be July 3rd.
Finance, Civil Service, and Personnel, Councilman Frondor.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. Our last meeting was held on June 19th. Our next meeting will be held on July 3rd, and the minutes from the June 19th and the prior meeting are on file with the clerk.
Thank you, Councilman. Are there any appointments and confirmations?
Not this evening.
Are there any communications, petitions, and claims?
I would just like to make note for the record that the advertisement for bids for the 2017 crack ceiling program have been made, and the bid opening is this Friday, June 30th at noon for anybody interested in attending.
Thank you. Okay, council will now be open to the audience on legislation only. If you have any comments regarding anything on our agenda this evening, please approach the podium and state your name and address.
My name is Joseph J. Andrus. I live at 1004 John Glenn Drive. Some of the items that we're going here tonight, I have an old Seven Hills zoning. I thought we couldn't have any construction at all until all the paperwork was done. But I've been informed that they've been given a dispensation to do all of the prep work. Cutting trees down, clearing the land. I was on the planning commission for 22 years and something like that would never happen. We had to have all the paperwork as to what was being planned, not just helter-skelter. Now we have some vacant land and we're just trying to fill it. Why do we have all these restrictions, all these zonings, if all you have to do is say, I want a variance? Are we gonna buy a rubber stamp and give it to the receptionist to just stamp it approved when somebody comes through the door? That's about what we're going to. Clearly states here, nothing can happen until all the paperwork is in. What's gonna happen? Now we're gonna put apartments in a residential neighborhood. Wouldn't it be nice if they'd be going next to yours? What's gonna happen? It's gonna pass, I know that. 60 feet in height. I know that, it's gonna pass. Well, the good part about it, election is coming up. A lot of us are gonna remember who voted where. Isn't that great? I think it's great.
Yeah, thank you for the threat.
The other thing is we're looking at a 60-foot height. Has anybody checked with our fire chief? Probably not. We as for a habitable building where people are living and sleeping, to reach not only the highest floor, but the roof in case people are up on the roof. We just had a catastrophe in Britain about that. Who's gonna buy this fire truck? To go to height that we're requiring, you're looking at $1.5 to $2 million. And I believe this is the same city that last year canceled home days because of money problems. All right, you're gonna put this legislation on the ballot to buy a new fire truck. Is anybody gonna vote for it? I don't think so. You're gonna have to hire more personnel to operate it, and we can't even house them in our new fire station because the roof was built wrong. It's roof trusses, it's not stick construction. You can't go upstairs. There's a lot of issues here that are not being looked at, and the only concern that I'm hearing from any of you is we're worried about the developer making money. You people live here in Seven Hills the same as we do. Isn't this great? I don't understand in what direction we're going. Like we stated before, I've got some old books at home. This piece of property is our last piece of property. We're wondering why Independence does so great. Independence wouldn't even leave apartment buildings on the agenda. They won't even hear it. It's commercial property, and that's it. But here we are. We're not only hearing it, we're going to rubber stamp it. And I'm very sorry to say that I live in Seven Hills. Been here a long time. My grandfather was here, my father was here, and I'm here. But very shortly, I am fixing up my house now, and I will be out of Seven Hills before all this starts, because it's a proven fact. We have spent over $100,000 for studies as to what we should do with this property. And you have all turned them down, so that must mean all of you are qualified to be developers or decide what to do with property. Why did we spend all that money if we're just doing what we want to do? It's something that's baffling, and I'm very disappointed. Sorry.
Thank you for your comments. Is there anybody further this evening?
Tom Snitsky, 2033 Hillside Road. Joe pretty well said it all. Apartments have never been considered appropriate in the city. It shouldn't even be a discussion point. You know, so I'm not even going to beat that horse. You guys heard plenty out there already. I do have one question, though. I was just looking at the agenda, and I remember 2 years ago, there was, I know this is funny, you can just keep smiling.
Excuse me, Tom, excuse me, just excuse me a
No,
minute.
I'm talking,
Hey, frankly,
tired of the disrespect.
excuse me, Tom, I was not smiling. Don't even go there.
Oh, please. I remember a couple years ago that there was a big deal made about open records and open meetings and doing things by the book. We have 12 emergency legislations on here. 12. What is going on that we have to have this many emergencies at one time, including one that deals with decorum and people rushing the podium? Really? It's gotten that bad?
Yeah, it has.
It's gotten that bad?
Yeah, it has. We have a policeman here, and you still want that.
Well, I mean, I like the idea of a policeman here. I like the idea of a policeman here when there was other things going on when I was on council. But you know, 12 emergency pieces of legislation, that to me is, I mean, I can't see why that has to be, why you can't have at least 2 readings. That's it.
Thank you for your comments. Is there anybody further? Okay, there's actually 14 pieces. We're adding the emergency to 2. Is there any, okay, we'll move on. Let's see where we're at. Ordinances and resolutions. Ordinance number 30, 2017.
Mr. President,
Councilman Biassiata.
I move that we suspend the rules under the charter and read ordinance 30-2017 for its third and final reading.
Second motion, Mr. Chairman.
Is there any discussion? Please call the roll.
Biassiata.
Yes.
Frondor.
Yes.
Kranek.
Yes.
Kukrow.
Yes.
Petro.
Yes.
Traffus.
Yes.
Bicker.
Yes.
Ordinance number 30, 2017, introduced by Councilman Traffus, Frondor, Bicker, Kranek, Biassiata, Kukrow, and Petro. An ordinance to amend section 707.01 definitions, .02 establishment and jurisdiction of city arborist, .03 master street tree plan adopted, .04 permit required conditions for granting, .05 general tree and shrub regulations, .06 certain trees prohibited, .07 preservation and removal of trees on public property, .08 procedure upon order to preserve or remove, and .11 duties of private owners as contained in Chapter 707 Street Trees of Title I, Streets and Sidewalks of Part 7 Streets and Public Services Code of the Codified Ordinances of the City of Seven Hills for the purpose of clarifying the responsibility for the maintenance of trees on tree lawns.
Ordinance number 30, 2017 has been read for its third and final reading. Is there a motion?
Mr. President,
Councilman Biassiata.
I move that we pass ordinance 30-2017.
I'll second the motion, Mr. Chairman.
Is there any discussion?
Yes, Mr. President.
Councilman Biassiata.
I'd just like to take a quick second and thank Service Director Levis for his help with this, putting together this ordinance.
Thank you. Anything further?
No, Mr. President.
Please call the roll.
Biassiata.
Yes.
Frondor.
Yes.
Kranek.
Yes.
Kukrow.
Yes.
Petro.
Yes.
Traffus.
Yes.
Bicker.
Yes.
Ordinance number 30, 2017 is passed. Moving on to ordinance number 65, 2017.
Mr. President,
Councilman Kukrow.
I move that we suspend the rules under the charter and read ordinance number 65, 2017 for its third and final reading.
I second the motion.
Ordinance, is there any discussion? Please call the roll.
Biassiata.
Yes.
Frondor.
Yes.
Kranek.
Yes.
Kukrow.
Yes.
Petro.
Yes.
Traffus.
Yes.
Bicker.
Yes.
Ordinance 65, 2017, introduced by Councilman Traffus, Frondorf, Bicker, Kranek, Biassiata, Kukrow, and Petro. An ordinance authorizing and directing the mayor to enter into an agreement on behalf of the city of Seven Hills, Ohio, with Court View Justice Solutions of Canton, Ohio, for the purpose of performing annual maintenance and support of the Mayor's Court Legacy Case Management System software and the right to use license, and appropriating the sum not to exceed $2,297 for said service.
Ordinance number 65, 2017 has been read for its third and final reading. Is there a motion?
Mr. President,
Councilman Kukrow.
I move that we pass ordinance number 65, 2017.
I second the motion.
Is there any discussion? Please call the roll.
Biassiata.
Yes.
Frondor.
Yes.
Kranek.
Yes.
Kukrow.
Yes.
Petro.
Yes.
Traffus.
Yes, sorry.
And Bicker.
Yes.
Ordinance number 65, 2017 is passed. Moving on to amended ordinance number 66, 2017.
Mr. President,
Councilman Biassiata.
I motion to amended ordinance 66-2017 with revised legal terms from the law department.
I'll second that, Mr. President.
Is there any discussion? Please call the roll.
Biassiata.
Yes.
Frondor.
Yes.
Kranek.
Yes.
Kukrow.
Yes.
Petro.
Yes.
Traffus.
Yes.
Bicker.
Yes.
Amended ordinance number 66, 2017 has been amended again. And is there a further motion?
Mr. President,
Councilman Biassiata.
I move that we suspend the rules on the charter and read ordinance 66, amended ordinance number 66-2017 by title only for its third and final reading.
I'll second that, Mr. President.
Is there any discussion? Please call the roll.
Biassiata.
Yes.
Frondor.
Yes.
Kranek.
Yes.
Kukrow.
Yes.
Petro.
Yes.
Traffus.
Yes.
Bicker.
Yes.
Amended ordinance number 66, 2017, introduced by Mayor Delacola and Councilman Traffus, Frondor, Bicker, Kranek, Biassiata, Kukrow, and Petro. An ordinance authorizing and directing the mayor to enter into a pool usage agreement on behalf of the city of Seven Hills, Ohio, with the city of Broadview Heights, Ohio, in order to provide use of the city of Seven Hills Recreation Complex pool to the residents and members of the Broadview Heights Recreation Center while their recreation center is closed for construction.
Amended ordinance number 66, 2017 has been read for its third and final reading. Is there a motion?
Mr. President,
Councilman Biassiata.
I move that we pass amended ordinance 66-2017.
I'll second that.
Is there any discussion? Please call the roll.
Biassiata.
Yes.
Frondor.
Yes.
Kranek.
Yes.
Kukrow.
Yes.
Petro.
Yes.
Traffus.
Yes.
Bicker.
Yes.
Amended ordinance number 66, 2017 has passed. Moving on to ordinance number 67, 2017.
Mr. Chairman,
Councilman Petro.
I move that council suspends the rules under the charter and reads ordinance 67, 2017 by title only for its final reading.
I'll second that.
Is there any discussion?
Mr. President,
Councilman
I'd
Biassiata.
like to recuse myself. This deals with the financial contract of which the industry I'm in.
Thank you. Did we have a second?
Yes.
Okay, any further discussion? Please call the roll.
Frondor.
Yes.
Kranek.
Yes.
Kukrow.
Yes.
Petro.
Yes.
Traffus.
Yes.
Bicker.
Yes.
Mr. Biassiata, would you like your name removed as the sponsor?
Yes, thank you.
Ordinance number 67, 2017, introduced by Councilman Traffus, Frondor, Bicker, Kranek, Kukrow, and Petro. An ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with HSBC Bank USA National Association through Total Merchant Services for credit card processing for payments associated with recreation complex parks, recreation classes, and admissions.
Ordinance number 67, 2017 has been read for its third and final reading. Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman,
Councilman
I
Petro.
move that council passes ordinance 67, 2017.
I'll second that.
Is there any discussion?
Mr. President,
Councilman Kukrow.
yeah, just for people to clarify, the rec director brought this to us. This is the one, they want to be able to take online payments. We can currently take credit cards, but they want to be able to do it online. And frankly, I think this is where the rest of the city needs to go. I know we can't do that with court costs and things like that. We need to get to a point where people could just pay without having to come in if possible. So I think this is a good thing. That's it.
Thank you, Councilman. Please call the roll.
Biassiata. I'm sorry. Frondor.
Yes.
Kranek.
Yes.
Kukrow.
Yes.
Petro.
Yes.
Traffus.
Yes.
Bicker.
Yes.
Ordinance 67, 2017 has passed. Moving on to ordinance number 75, 2017.
Mr. President,
Councilman Bicker.
I move that we suspend the rules under the charter and read ordinance 75-2017 by title only for its first time and declaring an emergency.
A second.
Point of order. We're going to be removing the emergency clause on 75, 76, and 77.
Okay, Mr. President,
Councilman Bicker.
I move that we remove the ordinance, the emergency clause on ordinance 75-2017.
I'll second that.
Is there any discussion? Please call the roll.
Biassiata.
Yes.
Frondor.
Yes.
Kranek.
Yes.
Kukrow.
Yes.
Petro.
Yes.
Traffus.
Yes.
Bicker.
Yes.
Ordinance number 75, 2017 has been amended to remove the emergency clause. Now we will have the first reading of ordinance number 75, 2017.
Amended ordinance number 75, 2017, introduced by Mayor Delacuilla and Councilman Traffus, Frondor, Bicker, Kranek, Biassiata, Kukrow, and Petro. An ordinance authorizing and directing the mayor to enter into a 3-year service agreement on behalf of the city of Seven Hills with Fit Technologies of Cleveland, Ohio, to provide network as a service solution, which includes but is not limited to network infrastructure, installation, and ongoing administration at the city of Seven Hills City Hall, appropriating an amount that shall not exceed $4,584 annually for said service.
Ordinance number 75, 2017 has been read for its first reading. Moving on to ordinance number 76, 2017.
Mr. President,
Councilman Kranek.
I would move that we remove the emergency clause from ordinance number 76, 2017.
I second.
Is there any discussion? Please call the roll.
Biassiata.
Yes.
Frondor.
Yes.
Kranek.
Yes.
Kukrow.
Yes.
Petro.
Yes.
Traffus.
Yes.
Bicker.
Yes.
Ordinance number 76, 2017 has been amended to remove the emergency clause. We now have the first reading of ordinance number 76, 2017.
Amended ordinance number 76, 2017, introduced by Mayor Delacuilla and Councilman Traffus, Frondor, Bicker, Kranek, Biassiata, Kukrow, and Petro. An ordinance authorizing and directing the mayor to enter into a 3-year agreement on behalf of the city of Seven Hills with Fit Technologies of Cleveland, Ohio, to provide server as a service for the city of Seven Hills that will host the following functions: Active Directory, DHCP, DNS, print services, file shares, database server, and application server, which will include but is not limited to server hardware installation and ongoing administration, appropriating an amount that shall not exceed $1,880 monthly for said service.
Ordinance number 76, 2017 has been read for its first reading. Moving on to ordinance number 77, 2017.
Mr. President,
Councilman Kukrow.
I move that we remove the emergency clause on ordinance number 77, 2017.
Second motion, Mr. Chairman.
Is there any discussion? Please call the roll.
Biassiata.
Yes.
Frondor.
Yes.
Kranek.
Yes.
Kukrow.
Yes.
Petro.
Yes.
Traffus.
Yes.
Bicker.
Yes.
Ordinance number 77, 2017 has been amended to remove the emergency clause, and we will now have the first reading of ordinance number 77, 2017.
Amended ordinance 77, 2017, introduced by Mayor Delaquilla and Councilman Traffus, Frondor, Bicker, Kranek, Biassiata, Kukrow, and Petro. An ordinance authorizing and directing the mayor to enter into an agreement on behalf of the city of Seven Hills with Fit Technologies of Cleveland, Ohio, to assist in transition migration of the city's email service to Microsoft Office 365 Exchange Online for 40 mailboxes in an amount not to exceed $18,696, and additionally authorizing an amount not to exceed $17 per user per month for said service.
Ordinance number 77, 2017 has been read for its first reading. We'll now move on to ordinance number 78, 2017.
Yes, Mr. President.
Councilman Frondor.
I move that council suspends the rules under the charter and reads ordinance number 78, 2017 by title only for its first and final reading and declaring an emergency.
I second the motion.
Is there any discussion? Please call the roll.
Biassiata.
Yes.
Frondor.
Yes.
Kranek.
Yes.
Kukrow.
Yes.
Petro.
Yes.
Traffus.
Yes.
Bicker.
Yes.
Ordinance number 78, 2017, introduced by Mayor Delaquilla and Councilman Traffus, Frondor, Bicker, Kranek, Biassiata, Kukrow, and Petro. An ordinance authorizing and directing the mayor to enter into an agreement on behalf of the city of Seven Hills, Ohio, with Richard L. Bowen and Associates Incorporated of Cleveland, Ohio, in an amount not to exceed $23,600 for professional services related to the preparation of contract documents and associated work for the replacement of corroded hangars and other supports in the natatorium at the City of Seven Hills Recreation Center and declaring an emergency.
Ordinance number 78, 2017 has been read for its first and final reading. Is there a motion?
Yes, Mr. President.
Councilman Frondor.
I move that we pass ordinance number 78, 2017.
I second the motion.
Is there any discussion?
Yes, I'd like to make a comment about, there seem to be some questions about why things are done on emergency. And so that everyone is clear, there are times when emergency passage of ordinance is required. In this case, the hangars that hold up the ductwork at the recreation center, we found were mounted using the wrong material, and we actually had several failures. This now becomes a bit of an issue. We don't want anyone being injured, and so we are passing this on emergency so that we can make these repairs as quickly as possible.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion? Please call the roll.
Biassiata.
Yes.
Frondor.
Yes.
Kranek.
Yes.
Kukrow.
Yes.
Petro.
Yes.
Traffus.
Yes.
Bicker.
Yes.
Ordinance number 78, 2017 has passed. Moving on to ordinance number 79, 2017.
Mr. President,
Councilman Kranek.
I move that we suspend the rules under the charter and read ordinance number 79, 2017 by title only and declaring emergency for its first and final reading.
I second the motion.
Was there any discussion? Please call the roll.
Biassiata.
Yes.
Frondor.
Yes.
Kranek.
Yes.
Kukrow.
Yes.
Petro.
Yes.
Traffus.
Yes.
Bicker.
Yes.
Ordinance 79, 2017, introduced by Mayor Delacola and Councilman Traffus, Frondor, Bicker, Kranek, Biassiata, Kukrow, and Petro. An ordinance to amend subsection 135.10B, clothing allowance for part-time police officers, as contained in Chapter 135, Department of Police of Title V, Administrative of Part 1, Administrative Code of the Codified Ordinances of the City of Seven Hills, Ohio, for the purpose of amending the allowance part-time police officers receive for their body armor and declaring an emergency.
Ordinance number 79, 2017 has been read for its first and final reading. Is there a motion?
Mr. President, I would move that we pass ordinance number 79, 2017.
I second the motion.
Is there any discussion?
Yes, I have a comment to make.
Councilman Frondor.
Once again, this is an ordinance that is being passed on emergency. And so that everyone understands why there's an emergency, the police chief came to us last week and asked if we could increase the amount that the city will subsidize for body armor for our part-time policemen. He felt that it was necessary because there had been no change in many years and the cost of body armor had increased. And in our recent contract with the Police Patrolmen's Association, they received something on the order of $1,250, and the part-time patrolmen were at $950. So it's a $300 increase in order to fully equip our part-time police.
Thank you, Councilman. Please call the roll.
Biassiata.
Yes.
Frondor.
Yes.
Kranek.
Yes.
Kukrow.
Yes.
Petro.
Yes.
Traffus.
Yes.
Bicker.
Yes.
Ordinance number 79, 2017 has passed. Moving on to ordinance number 80, 2017.
Mr. President,
Councilman Biassiata.
I move that we suspend the rules under the charter and read ordinance number 80-2017 for its first and final reading.
Second that.
Is there any discussion? Please call the roll.
Biassiata.
Yes.
Frondor.
Yes.
Kranek.
Yes.
Kukrow.
Yes.
Petro.
Yes.
Traffus.
Yes.
Bicker.
Yes.
Ordinance number 80, 2017, introduced by Councilman Traffus, Frondor, Bicker, Kranek, Biassiata, Kukrow, and Petro. An ordinance to amend Section 121.09 Rules of Council, Rule 26, Decorum, subsection B, Audience Precedence, as contained in Section 121.09, the Rules of Council of Chapter 121, Council of Title III, Legislative of Part 1, Administrative Code of the Codified Ordinances of the City of Seven Hills, Ohio, for the purpose of adding a new subsection 121.09B5 regarding audience/resident public comment and declaring an emergency.
Ordinance number 80, 2017 has been read for its first and final reading. Is there a motion?
Mr. President,
Councilman Biassiata.
I move that we pass ordinance number 80-2017.
Second that.
Councilman Kukrow. I'm sorry, my head's not there tonight. Is there any discussion?
Yes, I have something to say about this one as well. This one, again, is an emergency, and I would just like to remind everybody what happened in Washington, D.C. For the congressional baseball practice that the Republican baseball team participated in. This has become an issue here in Seven Hills. We've had several incidents. We've had several incidents where our police had to actually intervene with what I would call very unruly members of the audience. We also know that other cities have similar legislation. It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate, but this is the kind of contentious world that we live in right now. And that's why we're passing it out emergency.
Thank you, Councilman. Please call the roll.
Biassiata.
Yes.
Frondor.
Yes.
Kranek.
Yes.
Kukrow.
Yes.
Petro.
Yes.
Traffus.
Yes.
Bicker.
Yes.
Ordinance number 80, 2017 has passed. We'll move on to ordinance number 81, 2017.
Mr. Chairman,
Councilman
I
Petro.
move that council suspends the rules under the charter and reads ordinance 81, 2017 by title only for its final reading.
Second that, Mr. President.
Is there any discussion? Please call the roll.
Biassiata.
Yes.
Frondor.
Yes.
Kranek.
Yes.
Kukrow.
Yes.
Petro.
Yes.
Traffus.
Yes.
Bicker.
Yes.
Ordinance number 81, 2017, introduced by Councilman Traffus, Frondorf, Bicker, Kranek, Biassiata, Kukrow, and Petro. An ordinance to amend subsection 137.04A, compensation as contained in Chapter 137, Department of Fire, of Title V, Administrative of Part 1, Administrative Code of the Codified Ordinances of the City of Seven Hills, Ohio, for the purpose of adjusting the salary range of the fire chief and declaring an emergency.
Ordinance number 81, 2017 has been read for its first and final reading. Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman,
Councilman Petro.
I move that council passes ordinance 81, 2017.
I'll second that, Mr.
Is
President.
there any discussion?
Yes, I have a comment to make on this. It's being passed on emergency. There's a reason for that. Our fire chief, well, I'll back up. Our fire department, in the eyes of the residents of Seven Hills, are extremely critical to their welfare and safety. Our residents passed a fire levy last November that fully funds the fire department. Our fire chief has not had a raise, and it's about time. And so council has taken this move. Lastly, we have completed our negotiations with the police, secretarial, clerical, and service departments, and it's time.
Thank you, Councilman. Please call the roll.
Biassiata.
Yes.
Frondorf.
Yes.
Kranek.
Yes.
Kukrow.
Yes.
Petro.
Yes.
Traffus.
Yes.
Bicker.
Yes.
Ordinance number 81, 2017 has passed. Moving on to ordinance number 82, 2017.
Mr. President,
Councilman Bicker.
I move that we suspend the rules under the charter and read ordinance 82-2017 by title only for its first time and declaring an emergency.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Please call the roll.
Biassiata.
Yes.
Frondor.
Yes.
Kranek.
Yes.
Kukrow.
Yes.
Petro.
Yes.
Traffus.
Yes.
Bicker.
Yes.
Ordinance number 82, 2017, introduced by councilpersons Traffus, Frondorf, Bicker, Kranek, Biassiata, Kukrow, and Petro. An ordinance to amend section 148.04A, compensation of the recreation complex manager, as contained in Title V, Administrative of Part 1, Administrative Code of the Codified Ordinances of the City of Seven Hills, Ohio, for the purpose of adjusting the salary range of the full-time recreation complex manager and declaring an emergency.
Ordinance number 82, 2017 has been read for its first and final reading. Is there a motion?
Mr. President,
Councilman Bicker.
I move that we pass ordinance 82-2017.
Second.
Is there any discussion?
Yes, I have something to say about this one, declaring an emergency. As everyone knows, the city was in very dire financial straits over the last 10, 12 years. Because of the understanding and support of our residents, they passed not only the fire department levy, but they also passed an income tax increase, which got us out of the financial ditch that we had been placed into by previous councils. We also felt that since we concluded the negotiations with our clerical, service department, and police department, that it was the right thing to do to provide the same salary increase that all of those unions are getting, and that's 1.5% for fiscal year 2017.
Thank you, Councilman. Is there any further comment? Please call the roll.
Biassiata.
Yes.
Frondor.
Yes.
Kranek.
Yes.
Kukrow.
Yes.
Petro.
Yes.
Traffus.
Yes.
Bicker.
Yes.
Ordinance number 82, 2017 has passed. Moving on to ordinance number 83, 2017. Councilman Frondorf.
I'm sorry. Mr. President, I move the council suspend the rules under the charter and reads ordinance number 83, 2017 by title only for its first and final reading and declaring an emergency.
Second motion, Mr. Chairman.
Is there any discussion? Please call the roll.
Biassiata.
Yes.
Frondor.
Yes.
Kranek.
Yes.
Kukrow.
Yes.
Petro.
Yes.
Traffus.
Yes.
Bicker.
Yes.
Ordinance number 83, 2017, introduced by councilpersons Traffus, Frondorf, Bicker, Kranek, Biassiata, Kukrow, and Petro. An ordinance to amend section 151.091, compensation of employees generally, as contained in chapter 151, employees generally, of Title V Administrative of Part 1 Administrative Code of the codified ordinances of the city of Seven Hills for the purpose of amending the compensation rate for the part-time clerk of council and declaring an emergency.
Ordinance number 83, 2017 has been read for its first and final reading. Is there a motion?
Yes, Mr. President, I move that we pass ordinance number 83, 2017.
Second motion, Mr. Chairman.
Is there any discussion?
Yes, I'd like to make a comment about this one. We're passing it on emergency. Our clerk of courts has not had a raise in 6 years. And because we were able to pass a fire levy and we're able to get an income tax increase, it got us out of the financial ditch that we've been in the last 12 years. It's given us some breathing room, and it's only right that we compensate our loyal employees for the hard work that they do.
Thank you, Councilman. Please call the roll.
Biassiata.
Yes.
Frondor.
Yes.
Kranek.
Yes.
Kukrow.
Yes.
Petro.
Yes.
Traffus.
Yes.
Bicker.
Yes.
Ordinance number 83, 2017 has passed. Moving on to ordinance number 84, 2017.
Mr. President,
Councilman Kukrow.
I move that we suspend the rules under the charter and read ordinance number 84, 2017 by title only for its final reading.
I'll second that, Mr. President.
Is there any discussion? Please call the roll.
Biassiata.
Yes.
Frondor.
Yes.
Kranek.
Yes.
Kukrow.
Yes.
Petro.
Yes.
Traffus.
Yes.
Bicker.
Yes.
Ordinance number 84, 2017, introduced by councilpersons Traffus, Frondor, Bicker, Kranek, Biassiata, Kukrow, and Petro. An ordinance to amend section 151.091, compensation of employees generally, is contained in chapter 151, employees generally, of Title V Administrative of Part 1 Administrative Code of the codified ordinances of the city of Seven Hills for the purpose of amending the compensation rate for the mayor's executive assistant and declaring an emergency.
Ordinance number 84, 2017 has been read for its first and final reading. Is there a motion?
Mr. President,
Councilman Kukrow.
I move that we pass ordinance number 84, 2017.
I'll second that, Mr. President.
Is there any discussion?
Yes, I'd like to make a comment about this ordinance as well. Again, thanks to our residents passing the fire levy that fully funds our fire department, which I need to clarify that by saying which brings in about $1 million more than we were receiving from the previous fire levy, and an additional $500,000 to $600,000 from our income tax increase that the residents of Seven Hills were supportive of. It has given us the opportunity to put some distance between ourselves and the financial ditch that the city was in for the past 10 to 12 years. And it's time that we reward our loyal employees with a raise because they deserve it.
Thank you, Councilman. Please call the roll.
Biassiata.
Yes.
Frondor.
Yes.
Kranek.
Yes.
Kukrow.
Yes.
Petro.
Yes.
Traffus.
Yes.
Bicker.
Yes.
Ordinance number 84, 2017 has passed. Moving on to ordinance number 85, 2017.
Mr. President,
Councilman Biassiata.
I move that we suspend the rules under the charter and read ordinance number 85-2017 for its first and final reading.
I second the motion.
Is there any discussion? Please call the roll.
Biassiata.
Yes.
Frondor.
Yes.
Kranek.
Yes.
Kukrow.
Yes.
Petro.
Yes.
Traffus.
Yes.
Bicker.
Yes.
Ordinance number 85, 2017, introduced by Councilman Traffus, Frondorf, Kranek, Bicker, Biassiata, Kukrow, and Petro. An ordinance to amend section 151.09D, part-time temporary employees, as contained in chapter 151, employees generally, of Title V Administrative of Part 1 Administrative Code of the codified ordinances of the city of Seven Hills, Ohio, for the purpose of amending the compensation rate of part-time summer laborers and declaring an emergency.
Ordinance number 85, 2017 has been read for its first and final reading. Is there a motion?
Mr. President,
Councilman Biassiata.
I move we pass ordinance 85-2017.
I second the motion.
Is there any discussion?
Yes, Mr. President, I have a comment to make about this emergency ordinance. We hired 4 part-time summer help to basically mow lawns, cut grass, city property, double strips, that sort of thing. It's been over 10 years since we adjusted the salary range. It was $8.50. Minimum wage is $8.25. We moved it up to a whopping $10.50 so we could get some qualified, conscientious individuals. And that's why we're passing it on emergency. The summer is upon us.
Thank you, Councilman. Please call the roll.
Biassiata.
Yes.
Frondor.
Yes.
Kranek.
Yes.
Kukrow.
Yes.
Petro.
Yes.
Traffus.
Yes.
Bicker.
Yes.
Ordinance number 85, 2017 has passed. Moving on to ordinance number 86, 2017.
Mr. Chairman,
Councilman
I
Petro.
move that council suspends the rules under the charter and reads ordinance 86, 2017 by title only for its final reading.
Councilman Frondor.
Second that, sorry.
Is there any discussion? Please call the roll.
Biassiata.
Yes.
Frondor.
Yes.
Kranek.
Yes.
Kukrow.
Yes.
Petro.
Yes.
Traffus.
Yes.
Bicker.
Yes.
Ordinance number 86, 2017, introduced by Councilman Traffus, Frondor, Bicker, Kranek, Biassiata, Kukrow, and Petro. An ordinance to amend subsection 135.08A, compensation as contained in section 135.08, compensations for part-time police officers of Chapter 135, Department of Police, of Title V, Administrative of Part 1, Administrative Code of the Codified Ordinances of the City of Seven Hills, Ohio, for the purpose of amending the compensation rate for part-time police officers and declaring an emergency.
Ordinance number 86, 2017 has been read for its first and final reading. Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman,
Councilman Petro.
I move that council passes ordinance 86, 2017.
I'll second that.
Is there any discussion?
Yes, I will make a comment about this one. We're declaring an emergency. It's probably been 15 years since we gave a pay raise to our part-time police officers. And all we're doing is giving them a raise that matches what the union gets, and that's 1.5% for fiscal year 2017.
Thank you, Councilman. Please call the roll.
Biassiata.
Yes.
Frondor.
Yes.
Kranek.
Yes.
Kukrow.
Yes.
Petro.
Yes.
Traffus.
Yes.
Yes.
Bicker.
Yes.
Ordinance number 86, 2017 has passed. Moving on to ordinance number 87, 2017.
Mr. President,
Councilman Kranek.
move that we would suspend the rules under the charter and read ordinance number 87, 2017.
Point of order, please make a motion to amend ordinance 87 to add the emergency clause.
I make a motion to amend it by adding the emergency clause.
I'll second that.
2017, 87, 2017.
I'll second that.
Is there any discussion? Please call the roll.
Biassiata.
Yes.
Frondor.
Yes.
Kranek.
Yes.
Kukrow.
Yes.
Petro.
Yes.
Traffus.
Yes.
Bicker.
Yes.
Ordinance number 87, 2017 has been amended to add the emergency clause. Is there a further motion?
Yes, Mr. President, I would move that we pass amended ordinance number 87, 2017.
We have to read it first.
Yes, sir. By title only.
Okay. Is that good?
Mhm.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Please call the roll.
Biassiata.
Yes.
Frondor.
Yes.
Kranek.
Yes.
Kukrow.
Yes.
Petro.
Yes.
Traffus.
Yes.
Bicker.
Yes.
Amended ordinance number 87, 2017, introduced by Mayor Delaquila and Councilman Traffus, Frondor, Bicker, Kranek, Biassiata, Kukrow, and Petro. An ordinance authorizing and directing the mayor to enter into an agreement on behalf of the city of Seven Hills, Ohio with Fallsway Emergency Equipment of Akron, Ohio for brake replacement and miscellaneous repairs on Fire Department Vehicle Engine 2 in an amount not to exceed $14,218.40 and declaring an emergency.
Amended ordinance number 87, 2017 has been read for its first and final reading. Is there a motion?
Mr. President, I would now move that we pass amended ordinance number 87, 2017.
Second that.
Is there any discussion?
Yes, I have a comment to make on this one as well. This fire truck is in need of approximately $28,000 worth of repairs. from something as simple as missing hubcaps to sensors that don't work, to seats that don't work. And we find out that it needs brakes all the way around. The brakes alone, I think, is about an $8,000 piece of that. Currently, right now, it's unsafe to drive, and the work won't begin unless we pass an ordinance authorizing the monies to repair a fire truck that protects the citizens and residents of Seven Hills. And that's why we're passing it on emergency.
Thank you, Councilman. Please call the roll.
Biassiata.
Yes.
Frondor.
Yes.
Kranek.
Yes.
Kukrow.
Yes.
Petro.
Yes.
Traffus.
Yes.
Bicker.
Yes.
Amended ordinance number 87, 2017 has passed. Moving on to ordinance number 88, 2017.
Mr. President,
Councilman Bicker.
I move that we amend ordinance 88-2017 to add an emergency.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Please call the roll.
Biassiata.
Yes.
Frondor.
Yes.
Kranek.
Yes.
Kukrow.
Yes.
Petro.
Yes.
Traffus.
Yes.
Bicker.
Yes.
Ordinance number 88, 2017 has been amended to add the emergency clause. Is there a further motion?
Mr. President,
Councilman Bicker.
I move that we suspend the rules under the charter and read amended ordinance 88-2017 by title only for its first time declaring emergency.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Please call the roll.
Biassiata.
Yes.
Frondor.
Yes.
Kranek.
Yes.
Kukrow.
Yes.
Petro.
Yes.
Traffus.
Yes.
Bicker.
Yes.
Amended ordinance number 88, 2017, introduced by Mayor Delacola and Councilman Traffus, Frondorf, Bicker, Kranek, Biassiata, Kukrow, and Petro. An ordinance authorizing and directing the mayor to enter into an agreement on behalf of the city of Seven Hills, Ohio with Falls Way Emergency Equipment of Akron, Ohio for various miscellaneous repairs, equipment, and labor on Fire Department Vehicle Engine 2 in an amount not to exceed $13,882.71 and declaring an emergency.
Amended ordinance number 88, 2017 has been read for its first and final reading. Is there a motion?
Mr. President,
Councilman Bicker.
I move that we pass amended ordinance 88-2017.
Second.
Is there any discussion?
Yes, I have a comment to make on this ordinance as well. If you'll notice that this fire engine is a 2003 Spartan Gladiator, Pumper General. Before anyone questions, why are we putting all this money into such an old piece of equipment, it's a very simple reason, really. We have a capital improvement plan and commitment with the fire chief, which he agreed to, that we were going to replace this vehicle in 2020. And in order for this vehicle to be on the road protecting our residents, we have to make these repairs. Now, why are we waiting until 2020? Because our EMS vehicle, number 1, is going to be replaced next year, 2018. EMS vehicle number 2 is going to be replaced in 2019. And then in 2020, we are going to replace the fire truck. So there's a method to our madness, and there's a rationale behind this. And that's why we're passing this on emergency.
Thank you, Councilman. Well said. Please call the roll.
Biassiata.
Yes.
Frondor.
Yes.
Kranek.
Yes.
Kukrow.
Yes.
Petro.
Yes.
Traffus.
Yes.
Bicker.
Yes.
Amended ordinance number 88, 2017 has passed. We will now have the first reading of ordinance number 89, 2017.
Ordinance number 89, 2017, introduced by Mayor Delaquila and Councilman Traffus, Frondor, Bicker, Kranek, Biassiata, Kukrow, and Petro. An ordinance authorizing and directing the mayor to enter into an agreement on behalf of the city of Seven Hills, Ohio, with the treasurer of state of Ohio for the purpose of performing a financial statement audit for the fiscal year 2016 and appropriating a sum not to exceed $25,000 for said service.
Ordinance number 89, 2017 has been read for its first reading. We will now have the first reading of ordinance number 90, 2017.
Ordinance number 90, 2017, introduced by Mayor Delaquila and Councilman Traffus, Frondor, Bicker, Kranek, Biassiata, Kukrow, and Petro. An ordinance to amend Section 979.02 permitted uses, Section 979.04 prohibited uses, and Section 979.15, or 14, building height. All is contained in Chapter 979 Rockside Road South Planned Unit Development District of Title IX Zoning Use Districts of Part 9, Planning and Zoning Code of the Codified Ordinances of the City of Seven Hills, Ohio, for the purposes of permitting freestanding multi-unit residential buildings and residential building heights up to 60 feet in accordance with this chapter.
Ordinance number 90, 2017 has been read for its first reading.
Mr. President,
Councilman Kranek.
I'd like to make a motion to move ordinance number 90, 2017 to the Planning Commission for review and recommendations.
I'll second the motion, Mr. Chairman.
Is there any discussion?
Yes.
Councilman Frondor.
I've heard a lot of interesting commentary this evening, and I've heard people who are prognosticators and soothsayers, and they seem to know how this council's going to vote. I mean, it's clear they just know. But I'm going to tell you what, I'm voting against this. I don't want to move it to the Planning Commission. That's all.
Thank you, Councilman. My comments could be voluminous, but I'm going to try to keep it short. We just had a very long, informative meeting with residents in the caucus room prior to this. And as we've said, I want to make it clear that the city council, nor the mayor, nor anybody in the administration brought this forward. An amendment was requested to the PUD from the developer. It is our responsibility to follow the process that is put in place. Nobody is committing one way or another. There is no vote being taken tonight that is approving this or disapproving it. There's going to be a lengthy process to explain what this proposal is about. And as I said in the other room, although this may not be a popular thing, we are doing our best to build a relationship with a developer in our city that is trying to build a $120 million development in Seven Hills. Just out of courtesy, the least we can do is let them give a presentation and let their plans be heard. I'll leave my comments at that. Is there anything further? Please call the roll.
Biassiata.
Yes.
Frondor.
No.
Kranek.
Yes.
Kukrow.
Yes.
Petro.
Yes.
Traffus.
Yes.
Bicker.
Yes.
Ordinance number 90, 2017 has been referred to the Planning Commission. Moving on to the first reading of resolution number 32, 2017.
Resolution number 32, 2017, introduced by Mayor Delaquila and Councilman Traffus, Frondor, Bicker, Kranek, Biassiata, Kukrow, and Petro. A resolution approving the proposed alternative tax budget for the City of Seven Hills, Ohio for the fiscal year 2018.
Excuse me. Resolution number 32, 2017 has been read for its first reading. Council will now be open to the audience. If you have any comments, please approach the podium and state your name and address.
My name is Joseph J. Andrus, 1004 John Glenn Drive. I'm amazed at the number of emergency issues we have every time there's a council meeting. I was in business my whole life. If I would have had that many emergencies, I'd have gone bankrupt, I'd have closed up. We are saying that we have to get these fire trucks fixed. I agree with you, except for one thing. I had a number of semis, half a dozen to be exact. We hauled heavy specialized machinery. They were inspected by a certified company a minimum of once a year. If they didn't pass, you got a red tag. I never got a red tag because springs don't just die suddenly. You know when you're driving your car, you know when a problem's coming up. You don't wait. until it's dead. You're saying that the trucks are driving and we have to protect the citizens. My trucks were on the road, never had an accident in over 40 years. No red tags, because I spent money on them every year, not the amount of money we're spending. And I just can't believe it. And like I say, back with the, what we're doing with the apartments, we were told a few years ago that these were gonna be high-end condominiums. Now they're just apartments. And I would like to make a motion tonight. The motion would be, when this gets passed, that this building can go up, or these multiple buildings at 60+ feet, and we have to buy a fire truck for a couple $1 million, I think all of you that vote yes should help pay for it. It shouldn't be the residents. I see you're smiling there, Mr. Chambers.
I'm not smiling. I want to respond simply because we're not going to be buying a fire truck. We have mutual aid agreements with the City of Independence. They have a ladder truck. We'll be using that if, God forbid, there's that emergency. It's not a funny matter, but it's already worked out, and we've already considered that in everything we've been doing in Rockside.
I understand Independence has a lot of equipment. Can anybody tell me how many apartment buildings there are in Independence?
Independence has buildings that are much larger than any
Right.
proposed buildings in Rockside, and their ladder truck would be more than sufficient for any issues
I
we may
understand that.
have.
But Independence would never even put apartment buildings on an agenda. Like I say, I was on the planning commission for in excess of 22 years. We discussed things with Independence. Independence says Rockside is commercial. That's it. The voters passed it commercial, and that's it. And now, after spending all that money, you guys are saying, let's just approve anything. We are not council members, planning commission. Your job is not to appease the builder or help a builder make money. You are here because we elected you, and you're supposed to represent us. I know I'm boring some of you.
Excuse me,
Yes,
we haven't approved anything. You keep saying we are approving something. Nothing has been approved. It has to go to planning.
why is it on the agenda?
So it can go to planning commission so they can decide whether or not it makes sense. And then if they say yes or no, then we have a choice. We haven't done anything. Anything.
You and I both know it's gonna get approved. Have a good evening, fellas.
I'm going to respond to
Like I say,
the
I've lived in
comment.
this.
I'm going to respond to the comment about
Sure,
the
sir.
fire truck. Council approves expenditures. We do not oversee the maintenance of the fire vehicles. If you want to know what the pecking order is, the fire chief has responsibility, however, to do the maintenance on that truck or come to council and say, I need to have this truck repaired. Failing that, this is an administrative function. This is not a council function.
Can I?
So I wholeheartedly agree with you. And I was in heavy construction equipment, not lawnmower salesman, heavy construction equipment and mining equipment for 34 years. I know what PM is, I know what repair is, and I know what fixes fail is. And that's not our responsibility to police it.
Is our fire chief or whoever it is he certified to inspect the vehicles?
If he's not, he should be able to find someone that is.
That's right. You
And
should
why, and
never-
so I'll ask you this,
should
why
never
wasn't,
have
why
a
was,
repair of this magnitude on a truck that's only 20 years old?
well, you tell me why that happened then. You've been in, you were in
It's
business.
It's been run, and now, you're not
Let's
putting that
move-
many
let's
miles
move
on.
on.
My trucks used to
You know
go
what,
100,000.
I'm agreeing with you. I absolutely am agreeing with you. I
It's a
would,
sad
that's
state.
it is a sad state, and it's a hell of a way to run a railroad.
When I sold my company, one of my tractors was a 91 Freightliner. Guess what? They're still running it.
Oh, those
And
are
they're
little-
not
those are
spending any
little.
kind of the money that we're spending on ours. And they're out on the road and they're putting 70, 80,000, 90,000 a year on them.
I agree with you.
And they're not spending 14,000 a year to keep it running.
Absolutely.
So something's wrong.
I'm in concert with you. Well, you need to speak with the mayor. Maybe he
And
can
it's
tell you
all of
why.
our money that's going down the drain.
You need
It's
to
just
speak,
like a
you
couple
need to
years
speak
ago
with the
when they
mayor
bought
or
the
the
pump.
fire chief and ask, how did this happen?
They-
That's not my job.
They bought a pumper a few years ago, and we asked on the planning commission, why are you getting, well, the water tank was leaking on the one pumper. I said, it's stainless steel, right? No, it's malleable iron. You're holding water in a steel tank, it's bound to rust.
Well,
When you're spending $400,000 or $500,000 for a fire truck, didn't you ever hear of stainless steel?
I would
Other
say
cities
didn't,
are buying
I would
it.
say didn't, whoever was responsible for specking out that truck do his due diligence.
It's a sad state.
I agree, and I'm agreeing with you 100%.
I don't know what's
Believe me,
happening.
I know heavy equipment, and I know how much life you can get out of it.
You either maintain it or it costs you money.
You are correct.
Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody further?
Oh, boy.
I want to commend you on commenting on different emergencies. It was nice to
Thank
hear
you. Thank you, Tom.
explanations for that. I don't know if that happens at all the meetings, but it
Happens
should.
quite frequently.
When I was on council, I always tried to explain why things were an emergency. I would still say, though, that emergencies should be used judiciously for health and safety.
It is.
And some of these items, I don't know why they were on emergencies. That's glad that you gave the working people of the city, working folks raises. You're right, it is due. But again,
You never had a problem giving raises, as I recall, right? When you were on council?
I tried to
Is there
treat
anything
people
further?
respectfully, Tim.
I'm respectfully asking you.
I try to treat people respectfully that earned it.
Yeah, I know you do.
Is there anybody further?
Jack Train, 6264 Crossview Road. My question to the council is, Matt, you made the comment this might be a long drawn-out affair, this reviewing for this apartment request. Why is it going to be so long, and why do we have to offer them the opportunity to come before the citizens and make this big PowerPoint deal all over again? We saw what happened the last time with their PowerPoint deal. Now all that changed again. So why do we owe them all this?
Well, the process takes time. I mean, the first step was tonight to refer to the planning commission. Then a meeting has to be set up, coordinating schedules, there has to be a public hearing, things of that nature. How long it would
What
take?
has to be a public hearing?
There's gonna be a public hearing
For what purpose?
for this ordinance. Now,
Isn't it up to the planning commission? Isn't it just
It-
going to go from the planning commission?
let me phrase that. There very well may be a public hearing. My point is that the reason we're moving forward with this, and obviously not everybody on this dais agrees with it, and there are people up here who haven't even given opinions yet on it. But like I said before, we need to maintain a relationship with a developer. He is trying to bring a $120 million development into our city. We're just trying to extend a courtesy.
I totally understand that, but I thought they had all their ducks in the water the last time they came and made the proposal and went to the planning commission and asked for changes in the ordinances to get all this approved. Now, it's how many months later, they're gonna change again and wanna put apartments, buildings where they don't belong in our city?
Well, I wouldn't say that they're going to change again. They're attempting to change again. Nothing has been voted on.
I understand that, but I don't know why why do the residents have to go through all this? We've expressed our feelings towards apartments in our city over and over and over again. No one on this dais knows that not to be true. We don't want apartment buildings in the city. The residents have told all of you that. But here we go again, we're gonna go through this all over again. For what reason? Just to tell these guys, I'm sorry, you're not gonna build apartment buildings there? I mean, it's kind of senseless.
Well, we are giving residents that are in favor of apartments an opportunity to speak their mind as well. There are two sides of every issue.
Yeah, but hasn't this been through the mill once already?
But it's in front of us today, and it's not our doing.
No, I mean, wasn't this approved through the planning commission where they could build the apartments?
The original, the PUD says that they can build the
Right,
apartments over
exactly.
the retail.
Exactly. So why don't we stick to that PUD?
Who's to say that we're not?
Yeah, but why are we going through this all over again? That's the part I don't understand.
Because
we
they-
want to be nice to these guys? Because they're going to spend $120 million in our city?
They submitted an amendment and they have a right through the legal process to receive a fair hearing on it. If we don't allow this to move forward or a hearing, I don't know, maybe there could be legal issues that the city would be
You could
liable
be
for.
right, and I don't quite understand that. So thank you very much. That's my opinion.
Thank
And
you.
I just want everybody to know up there how I feel. And that's it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Thrain.
Mr. President, may I add to that?
Councilman Biassiata.
I think a number of us stated today that it's being referred to planning commission. There's no vote. Minds haven't been made up. We all heard the large number of residents, how they feel today. Matt says this gives an opportunity for even more input. But I gotta explain one thing that you touched upon, Mr. President. To not refer this, I was concerned that we'd be circumventing the due process due a business person in the city of Seven Hills. That doesn't mean I'm for it, doesn't mean I'm against it. I certainly got all the feedback and the phone calls that I'm sure the rest of council got. But we have somebody that's investing in the city. There's a legal process. In the caucus meeting, we asked the law director what the first step was, and he said that's first reading before it can be referred. And I think there could have been legal ramifications if we didn't afford this courtesy that we would to anyone else. But thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilman. Is anybody further in the audience? We now have the reports and communications from the Mayor and Safety Director, Mayor Delaquila.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. As I mentioned during the council caucus, I have a mayoral proclamation this evening. The young man that I'm going to be describing to council, a hero, was unable to stay this evening due to the length of the meeting. So I'd like to just simply read it into the record, and we'll make sure to get the proclamation to him rather than asking him to come back at a later point in time. And I thank you for your indulgence in allowing me to do so. Office of the Mayor proclamation. Whereas Anthony R. Temeko Jr. of 7279 Summit View Drive in Seven Hills, Ohio is being honored this day, Monday, June 26, 2017, on which he will be commended for his courage. Whereas Anthony Robert Temeko Jr. was born on October 8, 1997 in Parma, Ohio to parents Anthony and Michelle Temeko. He is the oldest of 7 children and has always shown empathy for others. Anthony is a 2016 graduate of Normandy High School, where he has center snare and drumline and represented Normandy at the state level for DECA. Anthony is currently training to be an EMT first responder at university hospitals. And whereas Anthony Robert Temeko Jr. was presented with a very difficult situation while driving on Broadview Road on Thursday, June 15, 2017, when the car in front of him veered to the right, struck a fire hydrant, flipped over, and began leaking fluids. Without hesitation or thought of danger to himself, Anthony pulled over, grabbed his EMT bag from the rear seat of his car, and ran to aid anyone who was in the car. Upon breaking the rear window, Anthony heard a baby screaming. At considerable risk, he pushed himself on his back into the overturned car, sustaining numerous lacerations to his back, arms, and hand, then proceeded to reach up and cut the car seat straps, thereby releasing the baby into his arms. Anthony handed her out to a bystander and tried to calm down the driver, who was shouting and crawling out of the vehicle. At this point, the City of Seven Hills Police and squad arrived, secured the area, and placed the driver and baby into the ambulance for transportation to the hospital. At this time, Anthony declined transportation to the hospital and assured all that he was fine. Whereas Anthony Robert Temeko Jr. acted selflessly that day and is to be commended for his quick thinking and calm demeanor. He and his family and friends celebrate this honor, and we are pleased to join them in extending best wishes on this brave response to a potentially life-threatening situation. And now, therefore, I, Richard Delaquila, Mayor of the City of Seven Hills, Ohio, together with the city officials and residents of Seven Hills, do hereby extend our congratulations to Anthony Robert Tomenko Jr. on his actions and offer our warmest wishes to a courageous young man. Dated this 26th day of June, 2017, signed Mayor Richard Delacour. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. It's a very nice proclamation, and he should be commended for what he did for those people. Okay, reports from the directors of departments and other officials. Director of Finance, Sonia Herwick.
I have nothing at this time, Mr. President.
Thank you. Director of Law, Richard Pignatello. I have no report. Director of Public Service and Property, Stuart Levis.
No report.
Moving on to council miscellaneous. We'll start at the end today, Councilman Biassiata. Thank you. Councilman Bicker.
Yeah, yes, Matt, it was great to see so many concerned residents out there. Thought it was fantastic. However, they did come here clearly with a preconceived notion that council wants apartments in Seven Hills, and that's just simply false. So clearly, I want to just say, I think somebody was stirring up a bee's nest against this council again. That's all I have, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilman Bicker. Councilman Kranek.
No comment.
Councilman Kukrow.
Nothing.
Councilman Petro.
Mr. Chairman, I have one item. I'd like to make a motion to change the July 3rd meetings to July 5th.
Thursday.
Wednesday.
July 5th. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I'll second that.
Everybody okay with that? Yep. Please call the roll.
Biassiata.
Yes.
Frondor.
Yes.
Kranek.
Yes.
Kukrow.
Yes.
Petro.
Yes.
Traffus.
Yes.
Bicker.
Yes.
If you can
The meeting,
have the clerk post that.
yes, the meeting for the July 3rd meeting will be now on July 5th, and we're asking the clerk to post the meeting. Anything further?
That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Caucus
Thank you.
also then?
Yeah.
Caucus also?
Yeah, all the meetings.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Councilman Frondor.
Yes, I have a comment to make about our service director, Stuart Levis. I don't know if anyone has noticed, but we have a large amount of stucco on this building. It's a band that runs entirely around the building and has a big high marquee in front of the police station. Stuart painted that himself, and he did it on the weekends. So I know that the first half of the building was something like 12 hours and 10 gallons of paint, and I'm going to assume it's probably another 12 hours and 10 gallons of paint. But it's amazing what a gallon of paint, or 10 gallons, or 20 gallons for that matter, will do to spruce up a building. And I just want to thank you, Stuart. No one asked him to do that, okay? No one asked Stuart to do that, but he did it anyway. So thank you, Stuart. That was great.
Very well. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman.
17 gallons.
How many?
And half a gallon on me, but don't tell anyone.
It looked like more than a half a gallon to me.
I was trying to be a human roller.
Okay. This past weekend was the All-Star weekend for the baseball teams. Councilman Kukrow and I spent the day at the field presenting the certificates with Chris Benny, our Baseball Federation president, and I saw Councilman Bicker and Councilman Frondorf at a couple of the games. It was a terrific weekend. I got rave reviews about Valleywood Field from coaches and parents from our teams and the other teams. Valleywood really came together nicely. I want to thank the service department as well for their work on the pavilion at Calvin Park. They just laid the concrete, and I believe that's done now, Stuart?
Yes.
And that looks terrific. So the parks are really coming along quickly, and Councilman Kukrow's been a big part of that. So thank you for that.
Mr. President.
Councilman Kukrow.
Sorry to interrupt. It rained early Sunday morning before the All-Star game. I had just gotten back from Myrtle Beach. I went up to Calvin Park, and the games were at noon. Service crew was there. I don't know how they did it, but in like less than 2 hours, completely fixed all the fields. It was a great day up there. Everything played perfectly. They did a great job. So they're doing their job.
Yeah. Thank you. Last thing, I have that floor motion we discussed regarding the assistant to the clerk of council. We've discussed this before, so I'm going to make a motion to authorize 5 additional hours per week for the part-time typist to council, which increases the approved and permitted working hours for that position from 15 to 20 hours per week, or not to exceed 40 hours in 1 2-week pay period.
I'll second that.
Is there any discussion? I want to mention that Lisa Plisco has been working very hard to catch up on these minutes since we've been keeping Carol so busy. And she's finally getting the process down, and it's going very well, and she's doing a terrific job for us. Please call the roll.
Biassiata.
Yes.
Frondor.
Yes.
Kranek.
Yes.
Kukrow.
Yes.
Petro.
Yes.
Traffus.
Yes.
Bicker.
Yes.
Hours have been increased for the part-time assistant to the council. My last item is a question for the law director, and I would like to know if we can add the emergency clause to the adjournment motion.
Absolutely.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Please call the roll.
Biassiata.
Yes.
Frondor.
Yes.
Kranek.
Yes.
Kukrow.
Yes.
Petro.
Yes.
Traffus.
Yes.
Bicker.
Yes.
Meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
I had one. You can have it. Good night. I'll see you, Tom. Good night.
See you there.
Yeah.
I got it in the presentation. Yeah, this kid, 19-year-old kid.
Pick that up?
Back in June 15th.
I thought you said yes. I brought you.
Yeah.
This is right.
This is a photo.
Yeah, let's go to my office.
I'd like to match.